Welcome to the Inspire podcast, presented by Living Sisu.
It's amazing how much mental focus needs to come into the training that we do, and
be on the podium with the best guys. I'm gonna do everything I can in the time period that I have to try and achieve that. And if I don't achieve it, then great, but at least I tried, and I'll look.
No matter who you are, what sport you play, or the level you're at, we all have one thing in common. We have to overcome adversity and tough challenges. Welcome to the Sisu Mindset. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Zach, and welcome to the Inspire podcast by Living Sisu. Karel, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Zach. I'm pumped for the guest that we got here on the podcast. Two great and amazing people, athletes that inspired me. I don't know how you felt about receiving or hosting them on our podcast.
Oh, man. It was unreal. I mean, two unreal athletes, and they're a couple too. This is really interesting about this story. They're triathletes. They've competed in Ironman across, so many different places, so many different events. And Lauren was a professional before Cody was, and Cody kind of worked his way up to becoming a professional athlete in the triathlon kind of sport. And it honestly was super inspiring to hear them, how they worked together, a few stories that weren't all sunshine and rainbows, but it was real. And that was one of the words that came back a lot today, real. Like, what did you think about that? That's the type of person.
I think that their journeys were exactly what I expected in a way, but it was good to hear those not failure sides, but that other side that people don't necessarily hear about, the side that has nothing to do with the podium or whatnot, but yet is probably what gave them the podiums or the PRs. So what they have to go through on the daily and mentally and physically, how they need to balance and stay focused. So very, very cool to hear. And I hope the listeners will enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope they enjoy it. And there was a story that Lauren shares where it happened. I think they talked about it happening yesterday at the time we recorded this. So Lauren talks about it, and it really got emotional where this was a tough time. Like, she was on the bike training at home, and they're training both kind of alongside each other there on the bike at home. And she shares this story, and it was really, really cool that, athletes kind of opening up to these types of things, because I've felt like that, and you've probably felt like that.
Absolutely.
And then they kind of worked it out, and they were telling us that, they go through those moments, and then boom, the very next day, they're back to training, and they're back to working super hard and pushing themselves. So honestly, that was one of the stories that I really liked about today's kind of episode. And I think I'm going to try a triathlon one day. It might be just a short one, maybe a short one in my backyard. I don't know, but I'm going to try it because it's something that's really interesting. Like, you combine these three already hard sport by themselves. There's marathons, there's like the Tour de France, and there's Olympic swimmers, that
Swim across the ocean pretty much. But
but now you combine those three together and you got a serious sport. So I think these people are super epic, and the fact that they complete these types of events and compete at the pro level, it's pretty dope. So I hope you guys listen to this. Kara, sorry, did I cut you off?
I was just gonna say they're courageous. They're putting their bodies through a lot. The fact that they need to do all three and be good at all three is another aspect. So I wish you good luck to train for that triathlon, though. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna join you on this one.
I'm probably gonna need some luck. So thanks for that. Hey guys, enjoy today's episode. It was really epic, and one word that really describes it: it was really real. It was real. So enjoy it. Have a great one, and I'll see you later. So just before we start, I wanted to remind everybody to download the Living Sisu app pretty much wherever you get your apps, usually on Google Play and the Apple Store, and remind you of our three pillars of the Living Sisu community: learn, access, and activate. Super important to learn and give you guys information from the top health and fitness professionals. Secondly, really giving you access to exclusive offers from our partners. And lastly, the activate pillar, creating experiences, tournaments, and great events to get you guys to activate your lifestyle, and so we can live all these great experiences together as a community. So thank you very much, everybody, for being a part of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Lauren and Cody, welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thanks
Doing
for having
good.
us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Very cool. Honestly, we're really excited to have you guys and talk about your sport and your journey and the adversity you guys face and all these types of things. Karel and I love to talk about other things other than hockey. Things other than hockey, like we were just talking about before we
Switch
pressed
it up
on.
a bit.
Exactly. Switch it up and really explore new things. So Karel, how about you get us going here today?
Yeah, so as Zach said, we're really happy to have you guys here. I am absolutely super excited to hear all about triathletes and the stuff that you guys kind of like have to do on the daily. But before we start, I'd love to, we kind of like to do this and we get you guys kind of thinking right away, but could you or would you be able to get 3 words? So you can only choose 3 words. And that would describe yourself. So maybe we can start with Cody or Lauren or which one, but if you can think of 3 words and kind of like in relation to inspiring or your path or anything, but 3 words that would best describe you.
Just to break the ice there, get a little description.
I would say confident, motivated, and driven, I would say.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Choose that one.
You're allowed to reuse the same. We get it. It's okay.
Actually, no, you're not allowed to reuse the same ones.
My bad. I was trying to give her a chance. She didn't get to answer first, so that's all.
Yeah, I should have let her go, shouldn't I?
Such a gentleman. I'd say for me, I guess I'd be enthusiastic, positive, and motivated.
Awesome. And you need it, I bet you in all sport you need those things, and that's why I want to get into that, right? And people will know your story eventually and all these things like that and what you do, but I want to know how you guys got into that, because it's not super common to say, hey, look, I'm gonna get into these events where most people can't even finish them, and I'm gonna do 3 different sports and put them all in one. So I just want to know, like, how did you guys get into it? If there's this funny story behind that, that's if you guys could share a little bit of the beginning of your journey.
I'll let Lauren go first.
Gosh, we both came into it differently. I mean, you'll go yours. I was a soccer player, and even went to the university level. I was thinking about even taking that to the pro level. But I was also just lots of hobbies and always outdoors. I liked running, I liked biking, and then I was also a lifeguard, so hopefully I was a good swimmer. So I think it was lifeguarding that kind of planted that seed in my mind, where I'd be opening the pool at 5 a.m. and you'd see these keeners come in, and it was the triathlon club. And so I was learning, like, what is all of that about? What are you guys up to? And I just thought they were kind of insane. And so I think that probably got me inspired to sign up for my first triathlon. Only like 2 weeks later, and it was in Vancouver actually, and it was the wettest and rainiest and worst Vancouver day ever. And I did back crawl on the swim. I lost my chain 3 times on the bike, and I couldn't even feel my feet on the run. And but I also I just had a blast. And honestly, that day it hooked me, and I did not do well that day.
So you're telling me on all the worst conditions that it really hooked you. Okay, that's good. I like that. That's cool. Interesting.
No, it was ridiculous. And but something about it just, it got me. I was like, hey, I did okay. And it's there's also a side of me that when I'm bad at something, I want to be good at it. So I think that also grabbed me, and it just spiraled from there. So, I mean, and that was probably that was 2010.
Wow. And on your side, Cody, how did was it kind of the same story? You got a shitty day going, weather, maybe some
Actually,
rain,
no.
hail.
No, I had a great day, to be honest. I think I had a really good day because I had no expectations.
Right.
I guess so. My story kind of began. I guess I'm really new to the sport. I'm just going to say this right away. I'm about, I would say, 2.5 years into the sport. So I'm coming from a boxing background, actually. And I was competing quite a bit. I was taking it very seriously. I was pretty much on the verge of potentially going pro with the sport if I had chosen that route. At the time, I was kind of just in between a weird time with the sport, I guess, per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, I just want to do a triathlon just because I want to do it and because like I'm competitive and it's like always a goal. I was just like, I'm just going to do one at some point in my life. So now's the time. I'm fit. Let's just buy a bike and start riding. And I had like all my buddies, you know, they got super involved and helped me get ready for this. My first race was a 70.3, which is like a half Ironman distance. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to jump right into it. Why not? You know, just
well, you were fit. I mean, you were a boxer. It's not like you're coming from the couch, you know, but.
And that's what I told myself. I was like, you know, I'm running. Yeah, I'm a strong biker. Like I used to compete previously before boxing even. I was like a really competitive mountain biker, like a downhill racer. So I had a good, a good biking background, but my swim was terrible. And it's still to this day isn't my strongest point. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of how I got into the story. I just decided to do it, did it, realized that I had a lot of fun and that no matter what happened, if I showed up to an event, there would be an event for me to compete at. Because a lot of times in boxing, like where I was at this particular time is I was training, and I would be cutting weight and, you know, I'd have these matches lined up and then they'd fall through. And I wasn't healthy at the time because I was constantly cutting weight. And so I just got into it, just did it. Had a really good time and realized that I was actually okay at it right off the bat. So then, that was my first race and I was hooked.
That's amazing.
Quickly, the transition from boxing to triathlon was
pretty quick from what I'm hearing.
Pretty quick, yeah.
And I was going to say, like, you keep saying, like, you had a lot of fun and it was a lot of fun and everything. Like, I mean, we're talking about a absolute long distance, like, you're not here.
Not a lot of people would describe that as fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine that the 3 words you guys use to describe yourselves kind of plays a role in you getting started in it all. So being driven and being motivated and being involved in like kind of self-describing yourself like that doesn't come from nothing, you know. No. So I guess that you guys had that forever, and once you found this sport, it kind of just. You guys were just molded already for it, you know, with those kind of words that you were describing yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you guys. Like we're just competitive, you know. We like to compete. I mean, I'm very competitive, and I love testing myself against the best people, you know, and just seeing where I'm at.
Well, that was kind of like a gauge for you to jump in right there with minimal training as far as like the long distance type of running.
I think it was about 3 months to be exact.
Wow. Like that's a real test right there to see where you can fit and see, you know, oh yeah, I can do this. You probably felt like, okay, I can do this and I can do even better. And then, you know, that. I mean,
don't get me wrong. It wasn't like spectacular, but it wasn't like, you know, I was like, oh man, like I suck at this sport. You know? You know, I was like, all right, I could actually get better at it, you know?
Yeah, but that's probably what you saw, right? You saw, okay, well, maybe I'm not the best right away, but you enjoyed the whole event, maybe the competing, the feel around it. Then you said, okay, well, how about I actually train for real? Or you kind of engage yourself a little bit more into it, and being competitive as you were and you are, exactly. It kind of fuels you like that. That's really awesome, actually. Yeah, and Lauren, cool. Is that kind of the same feeling you've felt, like just because the self-drive you've had, just being in the event, no matter the weather, to be honest, just being in the event just fueled you to say, hey, you know what, maybe this is for me. Maybe I should do a couple more of these.
Oh yeah, I mean it is very, it's interesting because it's an independent sport and I came from a team sport background too. But I really liked that difference and that challenge. And it, as you said, it's funny you use the word, like you just got hooked right away. I think there is something about the sport that just kind of grabs you from the beginning, and whether it was spectacular or not. And it just kind of pulls you forward into like, hey, I have 3 new sports to be challenged at. And that is really, yeah, it's daunting, but it's also depending. I mean, it's cool that you guys asked our attributes at the beginning, because I think it makes sense. It kind of, the sport itself kind of grabs people that are a bit more organized and motivated and driven internally.
Organization, I think that's a good word, because in sport, like you can't just go into it, and especially if you do it at a high level, as pro athletes, you can't just say, all right, well, tomorrow morning is time to go. You can't really do that. And that's kind of what I want to get into. And Karel, I think you'll have a few more questions in that regard, but you guys were telling me before we started, you guys have full-time jobs. Like, obviously you're pro triathletes, you do this as well, but I don't think that it's the most lucrative business to be in. You guys have to have full-time jobs. And how's that dynamic been? And organizing yourself for training, but also competing at a very high level, and also your everyday lives, you know?
I'll let you go.
Ooh, it's a good question. It's funny that I said the word organized, because like it probably doesn't come to people's mind right away, but you have to be very organized. I think that helped me from like my sports organization helped me in my career. I'm in sales, so it seems to have been a really natural fit for me to do that. Like, I understand being self-driven and motivated. I'm working towards a target. I look forward to these goals that I'm setting. I know what I have to align what I'm going to be doing for the week. Like, these are the people I'm going to reach out to. And so that's been helpful for me. And so what I do in my sport kind of naturally has helped me be successful in my career as well. And I guess I've been very fortunate to have the support of my work, that a lot of it is still online. So I do see clients regularly in the community, but as long as you have the computer and a cell phone, then I keep in touch and I'm able to pull the contracts through and make that all happen. But yeah, so it's always an organizational chaos.
She's also very flexible, though. That the job allows her to be very flexible.
Yeah,
no, that helps.
Yeah.
Karel, you were saying?
I was going to ask you, it must have been, well, the flexibility of your work allows you to also train within your schedule. So I'm guessing back when the pandemic wasn't happening, meetings could have been happening. And then when would you squeeze in your training, if you don't mind me asking it? Was it in the morning? Like, how do you get to that? Because Zach mentioned it, but we train at the gym and at the rink, and we train for, like, we do sprint to skate better, you know what I mean? Or faster, let's say. But you guys got to train for 3 different sports in my mind, anyways. So like we're thinking swimming, biking, and obviously the run. So when
you're not wrong.
Yeah. Well, and then there's also a strength component too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, even just like if you could give, I don't know, maybe it's helpful to give a daily example of our life together. Like, for the past 2 days, we've had 3 workouts a day, and already heading into a brand new year, it's kind of figuring out how to organize that the best that we can. And what do we start? We started with swimming in the morning, and then you're off to
I'm off to work, and then we have usually really hard bike ride, and then maybe a strength session or something like that. I mean, give or take, it's probably 4 hours a day, maybe a little bit.
You guys
more.
are putting into just a triathlete side apart from your job.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of like you put on like work helmet, and then you switch to your athletic helmet, and you kind of switch over to who you are, and like you'll yell.
Once you guys were kind of faced with this challenge where, okay, you did your let's say we go back to the first triathlon you guys done, and I suppose they were at different times. Were you guys in the same event? No, obviously not. You had different conditions. So what I'm saying is, you guys are faced with this issue, and you probably didn't know all the training and all the hours it would take to sustain that over time, right?
Yeah.
And you're faced with quite the challenge, right? So once you're hit, okay, well, this is what it's going to take to be successful or to maintain a certain, well, level of focus in your sport. How did that kind of play out mentally for you guys? Where, okay, well, this is a tall order for people, you know, so it can be intimidating. Maybe people are wondering how you guys dealt with that mentally and how you continue to kind of adjust moving forward.
That's a good question. I mean, to be completely honest, like this year, especially, well, last year into this year, I should say, I mean, and even like today.
Or yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lauren and I are trying to figure out the best way possible for us to be efficient at our jobs and at training, and what the sacrifices are going to be that we have to make in order to do that. How we have to like schedule our training. It's a hard balance, and mentally it's been tough. Like, so for example, and I'm not going to try and throw Lauren under the bus or anything.
Are you going to talk about yesterday?
No. I'm just going to,
go for it, Cody, go for it.
No, I won't do that.
Oh, man.
So like my mindset is like, you know, in order to be the best, you really got to apply yourself. You're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices generally in order to get where you want to be. So like my pathway, like I can just kind of see my path. And I'm willing to sacrifice things, you know, whether that's a pay cut or whether I don't have the quality of life at the moment, or, you know, maybe I don't have the nicest stuff right away, or, you know, like I'm pretty direct. I know what I got to do to get to where I need to be. And so I've already kind of had that mindset. And so I guess for Lauren's kind of, she's realizing it now that there's certain things that, because she, without throwing her under the bus, she likes to try and have it all. You know, she likes to try and do everything, and it's just.
You go get her. I'm similar to you, Lauren, so it's okay. We're both like this.
It's like a woman thing. It's just multitasking.
I think so. And you want to prove everyone that you can do it all, and that nothing can affect you. And you keep it together till it explodes.
Something about driven women athletes, right?
It's, you know, and she's realizing now that it's not sustainable. Maybe, is that the right word?
Yeah. No, that's a good word to say.
Sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, to answer your question, we are adjusting every day. You know, we're trying to navigate it, and we realize the people that we're competing against, they don't work. Their job is to train every single day. So we are trying to take the steps necessary to achieve that. And that's something we're trying to figure out. And it's hard right now because Lauren and I haven't raced in about a year because of the pandemic, and we haven't been able to travel. So we haven't really been able to showcase anything, you know, sponsorships and funding. It just hasn't been the same this year. So that's kind of where we're at.
I think, you know, we'll get back to your answer, Lauren, but I think that one thing to make clear to our people that are listening to us and listeners, is that your training is also in different levels, or like plateau, the French word would be. So you probably end up having longer runs throughout the trainings or at different levels or period in your season per se.
Definitely.
So the adjustment that you are living right now because of the pandemic, and on top of it, no races, no nothing, is something you kind of are used to it, but is fully brand new. And I don't know about you guys, but motivation level, just to not be able to see people, even if you don't know them, but being able to be around people when you train at the gym or other things, you don't get that simple energy or simple good vibe that allows you to just enjoy what you're doing on the daily. And often, I don't know if you guys have started to do that, but since the pandemic, I suggest you do, but some kind of like gratitude level every day that you get up to, that you either write in a journal or something. But I've been doing this, and motivation wise, I feel like I'm grateful I have work. I'm grateful I get to do what I love. I'm grateful, and it kind of gets you back into, all right, now I'm here.
I can
And
do
you're
what
ready.
I'm doing type of thing. And I think that in this pandemic anyways, like you said, it seems hard, but it feels like you guys are adjusting and getting it kind of like as you go too. So I
I love
obviously
that.
it will get even better.
Yeah, I
I
love
don't
that,
think it will.
and I like what you say. You just said about that, Karel, being grateful of everything that's going around, and that comes into what you were saying, Cody, in terms of it's a day-to-day adjustment, it's week-to-week adjustment.
Yeah.
Events are coming. Sometimes, well, in the situation we're living, you don't know when the next event is, so you just got to keep training, kind of get your goals in the right place, and it's a day-to-day adjustment. Some days you're gonna feel a little less good. You got to adjust for that, and you got to push through. And I totally get it, because that's a little bit of what the whole Sisu kind of mindset is, of that inner strength that you have to find to push through these types of challenges and that adversity. And sometimes we hit a wall, right? And it's just part of it, right? It's honestly just part of it. So I like the fact that you were talking about the day-to-day adjustment. I think that's really cool, in terms of you got quite the intimidating thing in front of you, where you got to train for a big event and you got to adjust. You got to just always be flexible in terms of schedule and
You
training.
have to be. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, even with the pandemic, right? There's new rules coming out every day. You can do this, you can't do that. Like you're always, that's just that's our life right now.
Yeah.
Just adjust.
I guess where we've had like a lot of benefit is that, I mean, at the end of the day, the work that we do is individually. Like we're running separately, like, but we run together. Or even if we're on treadmills, like we're beside each other. Or if we're on bikes, we're beside each other. Or swimming, I guess we're in the same lane, for example. So it's like we've also had this unique benefit to have each other throughout this entire pandemic too. And there's been times when we pick each other up or push each other forward or annoy the crap out of each other.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Karel and I, we were discussing, well, actually you guys yesterday, well, we were just talking about this, and it came up, right? Like internally, because you two kind of have, do you find that's an advantage, that you have each other to push each other, kind of keep each other accountable as well? Like there's some days maybe one of you or both of you don't want to do it, but maybe there's that advantage of being in an individual sport, but your partner, I mean, you guys do the same thing, kind of. So it pushes each other. Do you think that's an advantage?
Oh man, it definitely is.
100%.
I mean,
cool.
like, and there's some days I can't even tell you that, like real life, like you'll have a huge fight or an argument, but we still got to get this bike ride done, and the bikes are in the garage, so it's like, okay, hoodies up, like, and hop on our bikes and just get it done. And also, yeah, it's been, I mean, because there's things that we want to achieve in athletically and in our relationship and in our careers. Like it's all a continuous thing that you're always assessing and working on together. So we are always working on that together. So that's pretty
I would
neat.
say, coming from like an individual sport like boxing and being very competitive, for me, and even when I got into triathlon and I started doing well by myself, and then meeting Lauren and having Lauren, like I was always like really good about just getting the work done and stuff like that, but I was never like, those days when you're just like, maybe I don't feel like doing it, I'll just take the day off.
Yeah.
I don't have those days anymore. Like, so now I'm like really consistent because of Lauren.
Keeps you accountable. Is there something you want to add there, Kevin?
All the time, yeah.
I was gonna say it's you guys inspire each other too. It's like looking at him, he's like crushing it right now. I want to crush it too. Looking at her, okay, I'm having a bad day, but she's doing this right, and she like.
Why isn't she dying too? Damn it!
I think that's good. Like that's really healthy too, and
that's awesome.
And, it's again like. I think it's a huge advantage you have each other, and the challenges are there too. But you seem to be able to live with it all very nicely. And again, organization, and then your goals and how you want to achieve things seems to kind of keeps you guys also in that line, that even in this one direction, that even if you kind of go left and right through arguments or through some kind of like challenges, you seem to keep it going. So
I mean, it's funny, like, I mean, this is just real talk. Like we can be like Not that we don't fight that often,
Yeah.
Like sometimes, we have like those hard conversations, and we can
Absolutely.
totally be disagreeing with each other, and we can hop. If we're in like the wrong mindset, we can just go down to the bikes or go into a swim, and it's just like, man, like some days you just have, it's like the switch, whatever happened didn't happen, and like we're training partners now, and like we just train hard. It is
awesome.
It's actually pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I love that. I think that's so good, because I mean, you guys are in a relationship, okay? So you guys kind of deal with that, and you've seen it firsthand, but anybody on a team, on a high performance team, can say the same thing. Because once you get into training, we've all felt that, where somebody says something kind of pisses you off a little bit, or you're having a bad day or whatever. But once you get on the ice, you get on the field, you get on the court, that kind of seems to go away. But that's what I love about sport too, is that it kind of, whatever issues off the court or off whatever you play, whatever you do, it kind of goes away once you're in it. You're working, it's hard, you're sweating, it's a total different mindset. I think that's so good that you said that you guys kind of lived it, and I think other people will say, hey, you know what, that's true, I've felt that too.
It is. I mean, that might be what draws us to the sport. I mean, to any sport itself. Like, it's an escape, and it's like nothing else in the world matters but this moment and this play or this set or this interval. And yeah, there's so much beauty and kind of mental silence in there. That's really cool to achieve.
So good. That's so good.
When you get in the perfect zone, everyone is just driven towards that same little thing that you want to achieve together, and it seems like you guys are perfect to do this together for your training. I love it.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I kind of what's that?
Okay.
Yeah, we do all right. Yeah.
You do all right, huh? And I think that's cool, because I want to get into one of those moments where either it's something, but I don't want to talk about relationship stuff. We're talking about sports stuff. But what I'm saying is, one of you's having a bad day, or you don't feel up to par or something like that. What's going on inside, and what do you do mentally to really gut through those moments? And I imagine during a race, we're talking about dozens and dozens of kilometers of you guys doing repetition stuff, either on the bike or running on the pavement over and over and over. There must be moments where you're just not feeling it, or you're tired more than usual, or the day is, I don't know, it's not going according to plan. What do you do inside to really gut through those moments and push through that adversity? If you guys want to share a story or something like that.
You want me to talk?
You want to start about?
And I imagine this sport is filled with those kinds of situations.
I mean, like,
every day.
It probably happened 10 hours ago, like it's, okay, like real example was like just yesterday. And I think now we were both on the trainers together, and we're on Zwift.
This is real talk.
We just finished, I don't know, we're like 70 minutes into our ride. We're kind of coming up to the end of this really hard effort, like this 25-minute set. And I was sitting there, like, I'm looking at my screen, and then I'm looking up, like, just beyond the garage, and I'm like, I'm going to stop. Like, I'm dying. I'm going to stop. And then I was like, okay, no, just keep going. Like, one more minute. And then I'm looking at my screen. I'm looking at the floor. I got to stop. Like, I just was dealing with a lot of emotional work, New Year, stress. Like, lots is on my plate right now, and I'm not organizing it really well. So I was just like an emotional volcano yesterday. And then I kind of erupted.
It's okay. It happens in a lot.
Life happens, guys.
I was like mid-set, and I'm looking at my screen, and I'm crying. And then Cody's like, are you okay? Like, or what's going on? And then I was like, I'm fine. And I'm just still going. And then he's like, okay, stop. And then you got off your bike, and he came over and he gave me a hug. Cause like, I lost it. And I don't think I've ever lost it that hard in a workout ever before. And we just stopped, like, point blank.
And I mean, the funny thing about that story is that when I got off my bike, she's yapping at me like, these stupid workouts, I'm always failing, I'm never doing anything right, like on and on and on about the training. And I was like, it's not the training, Lauren. And she's like, at the time she didn't really see that, but then when she started like reflecting on it, it was like, well, it's work and it's this person and I'm holding that stress and I didn't let that go, and it just distracted her mind so much that like she thought it was the workout that was
The problem.
causing
yeah,
it.
you thought that was the problem.
But yeah, it just, if you mentally, I mean, I was a mental sieve yesterday.
Yeah, she was.
And like, it's crazy because if you aren't focused mentally, like 100%, then during some of these really hard efforts, like we can lose it. And it's amazing how much mental focus needs to come into the training that we do. And like the distractions that happen in our life are just, it's hard some days.
And you know what? Sorry, Karel, I don't want to cut you off. I know you wanted to say something here, but I think that's so important to share, because at the end of the day, professional sports or high performance or just Sunday enthusiasts or just going down to the gym, it's not always easy. Like, it's not always beautiful. It's not always perfect. Like we were just saying, like life happens, you know, like there's stuff that happens to everybody, all of us, every day. So these things are totally fine to happen, because at the end of the day, you got off, Cody gave you a hug, you said, all right, what's the problem? You analyzed it, and I bet you tomorrow, once you guys get back to training, you're right back at it, because you just dealt through it. You went through it. And that's super important for people to kind of realize that not every workout's going to give you 10% increase. Like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the ideal situation. But at the end of the day, if you went through something, even if it didn't end the way you like, maybe you just got that 1% better. We always get back to that, you know, in sport, where you get that 1% better every day. And I think it's cool that you shared that, Lauren. It's probably not like something you love to just talk about, but what I'm saying is it's important because everybody goes through that, right? Has something like that happened to you, Cody? Or
I mean, yeah,
it happens at times. I think that's what we both like. We're good at that. Is like we are with each other all the time. So like, I think we're okay being real and like seeing the aspects of sport that are real. I appreciate that so much more. Like as we start to continuously take this to the higher level, like it's not easy and it's not as pretty as Instagram makes it look, and it's not as easy, and it's just
that's what I was gonna say. Is like, I mean, you can go on YouTube and you can see all the sweet triathlon training and all the pros or hockey or boxing, and you're like, oh man, they make it look so easy. And it's like, and just because we're pro athletes, it's not like we're not dealing with things, or it's not like every workout is easy.
So good.
You know, it's like it's not like that. Like, in order for us to make it look easy, we go through a lot of suffering to get there. You know, and it's just real life stuff, man. Like,
I think there's a beauty moment in stopping and legit pressing pause for a second and realizing what's happening, and then trying to fix it either mentally or physically. And being able to do that is also allowing you to be balanced with everything that's happening in your life. You know, it's
and like what I was trying to say to Lauren yesterday in that moment was like, I know that you stopped and you're upset, but I mean that little moment where you failed and stuff, like that's going to make you better in the long run. You know, failure is progress if you look at it the right way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
what's the quote is like, winners fail their way to success.
Yeah.
Right. And that's once people realize that early, that's the way, you get a lot better at failing. You get a lot better at it, and that's just what it is, right? You learn from your mistakes. You push through that all the stuff that sucks. You push through over and over again, and then you look back 3-4 years and all the stuff you went through. You know, it's helped you be that much stronger. I think that's super great lesson. Thanks for sharing that, Karel. I think we lost your video, by the way. I don't know. We're gonna.
I can see.
I don't know.
I can still see her.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then it's just me. If everybody can hear, that's good stuff. Anyway, let's just switch gears a little bit. We're gonna enter the little segment of the show. We like to ask the same questions to all of our guests. Just kind of get to know them more in terms of personal kind of sport preferences and stuff like that. It's the halftime show, and we like to call it kind of like the GOAT section, where we go down in the greatest of all time kind of thing. So, Karel, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Okay. So first question, we'll start with Lauren and Cody. We'll go like this for my question, and we can alternate with Zach too. But this one is easy. I want to know, what is your favorite sports book right now in this moment? Like
mental skills or
mental
somebody that
skills,
inspired you, a biography or something like that. You've been
anything. If you like, yeah, it could be not even a sports book too, but something that just got you.
What is my? Oh well, I guess. Oh, I'm gonna cheat right here. Hold on.
Yeah,
there's one.
that's a good one. Actually,
Roar.
I heard about it. I haven't read it.
Yeah, female specific, but kind of looking at the sports side of it, but then also it's a lot of just the nutrition side of for female specific approach to sports. So I've heard incredible recommendations for this book, and I've wanted to read it for a while. So that is literally, I think I'm at chapter 3 right now. So
that's awesome. So for the record, that book is Roar by
Stacy Sims.
There you go. Perfect. So if people saw that there on the video, maybe they want to check it out. Cody?
Mine was actually, it's called Inside the Fighter's Mind. I think it was written by Tito Ortiz, maybe. I think that's the right book. I mean, it's been so long. I don't really read that often, to be honest. But yeah, I think that was my favorite book, and it's just a really good inside approach about what athletes actually go through and like what happens up in here, and his perspective.
It kind of sparked you.
It kind of just helped me, like, as I was growing through boxing at the time, and just realizing what kind of mindset I needed to be in, in order to achieve a competitive edge.
That's really cool, and so many books can do that, and I love that. If somebody finds them, like, you've just got to find one book sometimes that really gets you inside, and you want to go with that mindset. You don't have to have 10. Just one book sometimes kind of sparks you. I think that's cool.
There's one book that's not even sports related. It's called The Art of War. I really love that book. That's
right.
That's not even anything, but it's just...
Well, there must be some parallels because you're talking about it. So
really cool book.
That's cool. If you're not that much of a reader then, Cody, what's your favorite movie or TV show that either inspired you or that was related to sport that comes up?
Interesting. My favorite movie. I have to...
Or documentary.
Yeah, I had to pick my favorite movie. It's American Gangster with Denzel Washington.
Okay, but if we were talking about favorite movies, it'd be easy. But I'm talking about related to sport. Maybe there's one that's honestly, Friday Night Lights or The Blind Side or something.
Yeah, no. So actually, it would probably be Conor McGregor's documentary.
Right. That was awesome.
It's very relatable to me, I guess, in some ways. And I think it is for a lot of people in the world as well. And I'm not just trying to use him because he's like a huge superstar, but it's like his story is really cool.
100%.
I think a lot of people come from, a lower place before they get to the top, so it's a cool story.
You're talking about a cool story, like, yeah, a lot of people come from a less than favorable, situation, and then they make it to the top, and he might be one of the greatest in his sport, but it's worth noting where he's come from and the work he put in to get there and how he pictured that in his mind to where he is now. That's some serious kind of resilience or inner kind of strength to get through all those things to get there. It's I don't think we should ignore that. I'm with you.
No, yeah, I would recommend everyone checking that documentary out.
And you, Lauren, any documentary that pops up in the sports world?
It's funny because before I even met you, that was definitely one of my favorite too. Documentary in the sports world.
That's all right. We can get back to that. It's all right. That's the beauty of the podcast. We can always move on.
That's a 2-1 for Cody.
You're good. Don't worry about it, Laura. We'll come back to you. We'll start you off with this one here. So in the GOAT section, we're talking about the greatest athlete who's ever lived. For you, Lauren, who's that? It could be any sport, any time, any human being that's the best athlete who ever lived.
That's a big ask.
The best athlete?
Ever.
In your mind, ever.
Yikes.
Oh,
man.
But like that could be for different reasons though.
Yeah, I know. But overall,
that's the beauty of it.
I know mine, but I don't know.
I kind of want to pick a female just because. I think I actually might pick Serena Williams.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
choice.
Great.
Yeah, she has just her career progression and what she has gone through herself and what she has represented throughout her sport and the following and the empowerment that she has created. Specifically, female focus has played a big role in my athletic pursuits, and so I think she would definitely be a big inspiration for me, but also as a super badass on the court.
That's good.
Does it have to be? Can it be current or can it be like?
It could be in 1760 if you know an athlete at that time. It could be anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to be biased about this, but I mean.
Are you gonna say a boxer?
No, I'm not.
There is no bias. What's that? Sorry.
Lionel Sanders.
Oh, that's
Right, and what's the reason for your choice? Good choice.
Because again, he's a guy that came from a drug addiction, overcame a lot of things, and obviously he's gone through some hardship, and now he's one of the best athletes in the world, arguably. In triathlon and cycling, he's not the best swimmer. He knows that. I mean, everyone knows that. But as a cyclist and just his journey and process and and his approach to the sport and his mindset, it's a tough question, but I would say Lionel. Yeah.
Lionel Sanders. That's awesome. Karel?
Yeah, next question. Along those lines of the GOAT type of athlete, now I would love to know, in your mind, what was the best performance you've ever seen or watched or kind of been like, or you heard about it? So let's say like a big comeback from a soccer game or a hockey game, or someone that came from, I don't know, got hurt and finished the race to actually accomplish his goal or her goal, but some kind of like incredible performance that maybe we've heard on even the news or you've seen yourself. Those are kind of like the fun.
First.
I guess it doesn't matter. I can't think of the year. Why am I blanking on the year?
That's okay if maybe we can help you out.
That's all right.
Help me. I'm thinking, I guess what comes to mind for that kind of a thing would be the finish of Simon Whitfield when they were coming onto the blue carpet and he was in tight competition with his competitor, and then there was this moment that the video man captured, and I don't even think he knew he was capturing him at the right spot, like that point in your mind as an athlete where you're just like, I'm going for it. And it was represented when he took his hat off and threw it and gunned it to win the gold medal at the Olympics.
Wow, that's awesome. And that was caught.
Yeah, that was caught. You have to find that on YouTube.
Wow, we're gonna look for that because that's quite the moment.
Yeah, the hat. It's like
that's really dope. That's really dope.
Moment.
Yeah.
What about you, Cody? Best sports performance of all time?
Man, there's two of them, but I'm just gonna say two. Can I say two?
Go ahead. It's all good. I love it.
I would say actually Conor McGregor again.
Which one?
Eddie Alvarez when he won the second world title.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Incredible because he was the first person to ever achieve anything like that, and the way he did it was spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would have to say Jan Frodeno.
At Kona.
At Kona.
Yeah.
This past year, he.
2019,
yeah. So 2018, he was injured. He couldn't compete, period. He had to take the whole year off. And then I think he just got focused and healed. And then he set the fastest record the next year at Kona and smoked everyone.
That's awesome.
I think, in style, he did it flawlessly and made
That's
it
unbelievable.
So I think that was pretty cool just to see him.
Very cool. I love that. And those are some great ones. And it kind of goes into the last and final question of this section of the podcast. And we've talked a lot about these things. You guys personally kind of going through adversity and stuff, but Cody, you kind of keep coming to those stories where somebody that has a tough situation, or you were saying your favorite athlete, he made it from a tough place all the way to the top and stuff. And that was inspiring to you. And those really kind of go with the Sisu Principles. And here they are. Here are the Sisu Principles: determination, resilience, tenacity, courage, guts, grit, perseverance, inner strength, and will. These are all things that will push you through adversity. What's the word from the ones I just told you that resonates with you the most, and why?
Did you say resilient?
I did. Yeah. That's one of the biggest aspects of the Sisu kind of concept, to have that inner strength to go through adversity.
I would say that's my word.
It's your favorite. That's awesome.
I mean, I don't want to sit here and be like poor Cody, but I mean, I've been through a lot in my life, and I feel like it's you get knocked down, pick yourself back up, get better, get knocked down, pick your back, you know what I mean? And just keep going through the process and just being resilient through everything and just never giving up, don't give up hope. Just keep on the path. And that's
Jocko Willink, The Path.
Yeah. The path.
Love that.
For sure.
And Lauren, what about you of all the principles?
I might have to name a couple of those principles you had.
They're all good.
Could you rifle them off?
Sure. Determination, resilience, tenacity, courage, guts, grit, perseverance, inner strength, will.
I think I might be courage out of that one that stood out. Yeah, it's something I've carved. I guess if we're talking pathways, I've carved a pathway that I never even knew about, and coming from my family and circle of friends, I was the first one to introduce like triathlon. It would be like, what is triathlon? Like nobody even knew it. And so throughout my entire career, I think it's just been me figuring that out and just taking this leap of faith and being brave and putting myself in these situations with courage and tenacity, I guess, to overcome that and find success.
That's good.
Sticking to your plan or the path that you chose to kind of do yourself, or that brand new road and stuff. And I think that's awesome. I think I love that. All those words are coming kind of like and getting us anyways, but.
For sure.
And I think as athletes, we resonate with all these words because I say this often, and I find that that's one of the common things. And no matter what sport you play, no matter who you are, what you do, team sport, individual sport, you're going to go through a tough time. You're going to go through adversity. And that's the beauty of sport. That's the beauty of the Sisu kind of principles, is that you're going to have to call upon a little bit of some grit sometimes to get through sometimes, or a little determination, resilience. We all have, and that's one thing in common that we have, no matter the sport. That's one thing in common, and that's what I love about it. And I think that's really cool.
I would agree with you.
Yep.
Is it okay if I ask one more question?
Yeah, you're all right. You go ahead.
Just as you guys were talking and everything, and this path and the journey and everything you've done, and we kind of touched on it quickly, Cody and Lauren too, as you mentioned it. But I'd love to know, and I'm sure the listeners will love to know too. But out of like your journey and everything you've done so far, what would be like something that makes you kind of like, that makes you really proud of, that you can look back and just be like, man, in that moment, or when I did this, it kind of pushed me to fully jumped into being a pro athlete in triathlon, for instance. Like just that key moment in your journey that you look back at it and you're like, wow, I'm really proud of that. Was there ever like that little spark or something that got you guys going?
You got yours?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some incredible moments throughout the journey, but one that sticks out in my mind was actually our last race in California, Indian Wells.
Oh, I'm part of that one.
Yeah, so at the time I wasn't pro yet, so I was still racing in the age group scenario, and but that at that point I was getting ready. Like I've made the decision, I'm going pro, so I was starting to commit to the training, and I was doing what I needed to do, I guess it was really fun because Lauren, that's the first time Lauren and I have ever raced together, you know. And
Wow.
so she's a pro. She was a pro before I was, and so the way that works is that she starts before I do, right? So the female line starts way before the age group line does. So, you know, we're like scrambling in the morning. We're getting ready. She forgot her little tag. We're running around. They won't let her in the water. The gun goes off. She's like just jumping in.
I hop the fence and dive in the water.
It's crazy start.
Wow.
So then I'm seeing that, and then I see Lauren go on, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get ready, get my goggles, and I try to like budge myself to the front of the line as much as I can, because when you're in an age group situation, you're mass starting with like 5,000 or 2,000 people, right? So I'm like, shit, I'm in a really bad spot now. So anyway, yeah. So it was just really cool because I saw her go, and then I'm out of the water, and I'm on the bike, and then I can see her. We see each other in passing, you know, and it's just like motivating me, because I'm just like, I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you. I was so motivated to try and catch Lauren, because she starts like, you know, like 11 minutes ahead.
8 minutes.
By the time
Oh, nice. I love it. I love it.
And
I'm like, I can't let him catch me.
That's cool.
We're seeing each other, and we're working, and you know, we're not like, you know, it's not like you're like waving or anything. It's like, I'm coming to get your ass, like, you know. And then we're on the run, and yeah, I think the run was really, that's the moment I knew that I could be a professional athlete, was when I could successfully have a good run off a hard bike, and like be passing people and just keep throwing down the pace. And every time I would see her on the course, I would just be like, I'm good. You know, if I was getting into a dark place, I'd see her and be like, I'm just coming for you. Like, and I'm just keeping my mind right. And then I was really close to her at the finish. It was like only like a minute off, so I almost caught her. But it was just like so cool because she was at the finish line and I came through, and I could just see her, and it's just like we hugged, and it was just like a really special moment for me. And I was like, I knew I could do it. You know?
That's so awesome, Karel. You love that story.
Where I'm at now, and unfortunately,
that story.
I haven't been able to race since then. But
I love it. We're gonna make a movie out of this. No,
and he has never caught her since.
And like, that was my best performance ever, and your best performance ever. Like we both knocked off almost 30 minutes of our personal best.
Yeah, it was like a PR day all over the place.
We both had this insane day, and then we finished within, I think we finished within 41 seconds of each other, and it was just
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So Cody has never caught Lauren ever again after that day. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, I love that.
It'd be the reverse role. She's gonna be trying to convince.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a good story, and that's another one of those stories where you could just chalk up to sports. You know, like that's really cool to be able to share those moments with other people. And my partners and I, when we first started thinking and talking about living Sisu, they would laugh hearing me say this story, but I always say nobody really wants to sit by a bonfire by themselves. You know, like nobody wants to climb a really nice mountain with beautiful views and a nice peak by themselves.
No.
You do it with others so you could share that experience, so you could tell the story about it, so you can feel those emotions together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you could crack open a beer at the bonfire and tell stories. That's the experience. And that's what you're telling me. And you were telling everybody through your story. And that's the beauty of sports, is that it makes us live all these awesome moments and push ourselves, but with others, and share that experience. I think that's really dope that you kind of exemplified that whole principle of the living Sisu community in just one story. So I think that's really dope.
Yeah, it was just maybe it wasn't like the best moment in sport, but it was an iconic moment for, I think, us, in realizing that we're not crazy and that we can actually be.
We're a bit crazy.
You know, that we can be at a world, you know, we can be at an elite level, you know, because that's always the question. I'm sure you guys face that too. It's like, man, am I good enough? Like, you know, like, for you, can I be on the Capitals, or, you know, can I make the team, or can I hang with Lionel Sanders at a race? I don't know, but like that was the day that I kind of knew that I was on the right path, and yeah, it was a
Super cool.
day. Yeah.
Those are the moments to focus on so that you don't quit too quickly.
Oh, 100%.
There's such a thing in sports, and too often people are, they're failing, and that little fail is like that one time that was too much for them, and they just quit the sport or however that goes. But if they would have just potentially pushed that next time, then they would have PR'd just like you did, or they would have made the team the next year, or however that is. And I think that sometimes it's in us, and we see those moments as like, you know what, I'm going to show you like what I'm capable of, and you kind of take this failure into your own hands, and you transfer it over to motivation. But if people can hear this and just transfer it themselves as like, yeah, I'm going to share this moment with people, we're going to do this together, and even if I'm not able to do it in a certain time, like I plan on doing it, if it's a hike, if it's anything really, then the next time you will be able to do it, and you'll be able to share it. Right?
And you'll get closer. Maybe you won't get it for another 6 times, but you're going to get closer every time. And that's enough. Sometimes that's enough to just improve a little bit, and you see the progress. You make it to the next level just that way. I think that's a great point, Kyle. I actually love that.
Man, yeah. That's something that's so far beyond sport. That's just life. Is like we're inching our way to our own personal best all the time.
I love that one. That's super important. All right, guys. I mean, honestly, it's getting late for us. You guys are all the way in Victoria. You guys are still good for a few hours. You're probably going to get a 70-kilometer bike ride before bed. But what I'm saying is,
we gotta
rest day, remember?
yeah, it's true. But what I'm saying, just to finish off on the right note and to really inspire people on their way out, I want to know what you guys as athletes, what will be your legacy once you're gone, once you're out of the sport, once you're finished? What do you want to give to others, and what would you like to leave behind?
I guess for me, it's just like, it's easy to get caught up in society, and I think there's a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and I think people don't pursue their goals like they want to. So, I mean, for me, I could have the $100,000 job. I can go to school, get the schooling. But man, like in my heart, I'm doing what I want to do. And I think pursuing that, there's a lot of value in that. And I don't think a lot of people do that. So I guess like for my legacy, I would just say like, just pursue your goals, man. And just, if you're trying to be pressured into something and it doesn't feel right, and in your heart you want to do something else, just do it.
Be yourself.
Just be yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of pressure these days, and as an athlete, I mean, I just want to be the best I can be, and whatever happens in that journey, then that's great. But I mean, for me, my goal is to be at the top. I want to be on the podium with the best guys, and I'm going to do everything I can in the time period that I have to try and achieve that. And if I don't achieve it, then great, but at least I tried, and
Right.
I'll look back and I won't regret it. So that's the biggest thing, I guess.
That's really good. And you, Lauren, on your end?
I completely relate to that. It's funny. I was even having a phone conversation through the grocery store with my dad the other day, and he was talking about like, Lauren, but what if like in 3 years and you haven't gotten on a podium that you want to, like, how won't you be sad? And I'm like, I think I would be more sad if I didn't go after that podium, or if I didn't go after my dreams. And so I can completely relate to what you're saying. I think the other side of it too is I think I've gone through a lot of stuff, like there's a lot of pressure in society, and like through trying to act a certain way or trying to be a certain way. And I think sport has been such a wonderful and healthy outlet for me to just be to see what my body can really do, and not put shame on it, or not feel bad about it, or not have to fit into this certain shape or look a certain way or be a certain way. I think sport has opened up my eyes to a whole new world of like what my body's really capable of doing, and being really, really proud of that, and exploring that, and sharing that in a really healthy, positive way. So I think that would be my further legacy that I'd love to share, to specifically if it to help people that maybe didn't have harder times in the past than I have had to get to where I'm at today. And yeah, just to explore that and see what really your body can do.
I think you guys are a
so
perfect
awesome.
example of like, people can look up to you guys and actually see this or want to become a triathlete, for instance, or the more like, those things you said it, you introduced your sports to your families and friends. And I think that what you're doing and what you're embodying, that vision, Lauren, what you're talking about, like body image is such a huge issue in young women. And I think that sports has helped so many in belonging being a different shape or being a different type of female per se. And I think that we need to scratch the society type of pressures left and right. And the more that we have these, role models like you, Cody and Lauren, like on both sides of the spectrum. I mean, you were cutting weight for a living for I don't know how long, and those things are, you push your bodies through such a disturbance in a way, and to see you guys being healthy and balanced and that resiliency that you've had throughout your journey is something to look up to, and don't stop doing it. Don't let anyone.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I mean, you guys are going to keep doing this for a long time. We can definitely feel that passion to just keep going and keep, like Lauren, you were saying, just pushing the boundary of what you can really do. I think that's really cool. I have dabbled into those type of things, and I think once winter's gone, I'm gonna go get myself a bike and get on the pavement and try it out. One thing I'm gonna have to get better at is swim more than probably just a pool or two lengths. Maybe that's where I should get in. I should improve.
You gotta get a swimmer on your podcast, because man, they got to be some of the best athletes in the world.
Awesome. That's very cool. Honestly, I can't thank you guys enough for coming here and sharing your stories, and honestly, just inspiring a lot of people today, because it certainly inspired me to keep going in whatever thing I wanted to try, and maybe even one day I have a goal of completing an Ironman, and maybe now just completing one is too shallow of a goal, and I want to go beyond that. But thanks to you guys, I think it's cool. Maybe one day we'll get a training session going. You'll put me through the grind. You'll put me and Karel through the grind, maybe. But
you never know.
Honestly, thank you very much for coming on the Inspired Podcast by Living Sisu, and you really embody those principles from A to Z, and we're really happy to have you. So you're welcome back anytime if you guys need anything. We're supporters of you guys. I'll come clean your bike at the races if you need. I'll do anything to help you guys and support you. So thanks again, Karel. If you want to get us out of here, you go ahead.
No, thank you guys. It was a pleasure. I kind of said my little piece on how I'm inspired and how pumped I am to have known or got to know you through this podcast even more. And again, I said it, but keep dreaming, keep pushing, keep having these things that kind of feed you right here, like you were saying, and don't let anyone take that away from you guys. So, thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you, guys. This was great.
Pleasure to meet you guys.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to the podcast with Lauren and Cody. Two amazing people. We've had a blast interviewing them. Zach and I just got inspired as we were speaking to them. They were real. We hope you felt it. They are and represent a lot of the living Sisu that we embody. So, again, thank you for being there. Zach, please take us away.
Oh yeah, I mean you really summarized it well. They were inspiring figures, and they had some great stories. I hope you really enjoyed that. I think we're all going to see each other running around the neighborhoods tomorrow or on our bikes or something because of these inspiring people. So thanks a lot, Lauren and Cody, for being such great role models for people, embodying the whole Sisu principles from A to Z every day. So it's honestly great to have these types of people in the world that really show the example. So again, thank you. And guys, please don't forget to share this podcast to somebody that you feel can be inspired by this. follow us on our Facebook group, to follow all the different events that we're going to be putting on and sharing together. And please don't forget to download our app, the Living Sisu app on the App Store. And last but not least, become a member. It's totally free, and you're gonna be able to be part of this amazing community of people that want to get better every single day and take advantage of all the values and the great experiences we live in sport. So thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Inspire podcast by Living Sisu, and hope you guys have a great day. Salut, Karel. Thank you.
Bye, Zach.